Hi, Mark. Good to see you. This is Genevieve.
Good to see you too.
I am commuting, so I'll stay off camera, but nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Well, might be get blinded because of my head, so I do
No,
apologize.
well, I think my photo matches yours, so it's
No,
fine.
you look way better than I do.
I did see the numbers dropping precipitously when they announced breakout groups, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, everyone, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
So
Hello.
just to make sure everyone's in the same room, this is the sector-based uh, group discussion. Just
Yep.
gonna wait a second to see if anybody else gets pushed. I know I wasn't able to do it before on my iPad, but I actually figured it out finally. All right. So this again is this is the sector-based training group. I'm Sean Coyne. I've been asked to facilitate the conversation. Sounds like we have a hard stop at 4 o'clock, and they would like to get a brief out from us. And so just a couple ground rules they asked for me to try and enforce. Try and limit comments to 2 minutes a person if possible. And we're going to try and focus on the content as opposed to trying to wordsmith the material that they have in there. What I'll do is I'll just kind of flag what I think are the different topic areas for the group, and we'll just kind of plow through this. So the first part was the future state. So there were 2 bullets on that. So the first one was all individuals have access to stackable credential pathways and high growth industries. And then the second one was the sustainable training models across all high growth industries. Any comments, ideas, thoughts on if there was any other future state topics that we should ask them to consider?
Sean, I'm so sorry to sound ignorant, but can you maybe restate what we were saying and how do we add to that?
All right.
Cindy, this is Dante. You're not ignorant. I was just going to ask as well. I came in late and it's session. So this has been like kind of an afterthought right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, so just treat us like we don't know anything and start again.
Okay. So what we've been asked to do is, you saw Mark, he kind of had the slide for each one of the strategic pillars. And so one of the strategic pillars, the one that we're here to talk about is sector-based training. And so the way I kind of look at the different areas that they had, the first area was kind of like the future state. So what we want it to look like later. There's the work accomplishments that have been made to date, like Career Connect. And then there's the kind of like the moving forward, which is they had 5 different bullets, and I can go through it with you if you can't remember all of it. But they put down 5 bullets, which are things that we'd be looking to achieve by 2028. But the first area was, they called it the future state. So for me, when I look at the future state, I look at that as kind of like, what are the very high-minded objectives that we're looking to achieve in the governor's plan when it comes to sector-based training. And when I think about the sector-based training, and trust me, I am open to being challenged. There seems to be a heavy focus on credentialing is number one. And then the second part seems to be a focus more on kind of like the training models that we have out there right now. whether it's kind of like the regional sector partnerships that exist, throughout the state. Like Cindy, like you know what RSPs are, right? Okay, all right. And so it's kind of like we got funding for the RSPs, I think back in 2022 to kind of advance the different initiatives that they have that are out there. So for me, I think the first question is really, do we think we're on the correct path with the future state focus of RSPs, credentialing, and these like regional sector partnerships and other models, like you have eWIB that's out there, and eWIB has now been expanded through Career Connect through for the rest of the state. So do we think that we've captured at a high level? Is there any other things out there that we think are important that's not covered in this document right now?
Yeah, one thing I would love to add, just focusing from my end of it, is how do we get in this sector-based training the skill sets that are required for some of the smaller businesses, like
Yeah.
for our business, we really have an issue getting the mechanics required to run the equipment. And so what are those skill sets, and how do you get at smaller companies so that we're included? It's not just establishing the criteria for the larger companies that are hiring at much larger numbers than we are. I
Yeah.
don't know if that applies, Sean, but I know that that's one thing I worry about.
So what I would say on that one, Cindy, is so I'm on the steering committee for one of the RSPs. So it's the Eastern Connecticut Advanced Manufacturing Alliance is what it is. And so I represent a large employer. And so I'm kind of in the background, I would say, in a lot of the conversations, but it's a lot of very small manufacturers that are having conversations around things like workforce training. We talk about training a ton, Cindy. So the resources out there, but what worries me is when I hear you say maybe what the topic is, like what they are in general, but I worry that you don't know if there's one out there that could help you out. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, you're not. And I think we have a representative on one of the regions. And I think they're having an issue. They haven't gotten the funding yet and all that goes with that. But
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how we're just having that opportunity to make sure that the criteria that we need individuals trained for to work in our workforce are part of the conversation.
All right. So we have capital workforce here, so I'm not sure if you want to go off mute for a second, and if there's anything you'd want to add. I mean, you'll know this stuff a lot better than I would.
Hi, everyone. Mohammed Chowki, Business Engagements. Focusing on the transportation, distribution, logistics. So I guess I'm still trying to wrap my head around the issue. Even with in the RSP level, we try to pin down the issue and go from there. So maybe a little more clarification on that, Cindy.
Yeah, just when I know you have the regional partnerships and we have an individual that's part of that, but I'm just saying from an overall business standpoint, when you guys are doing the sector-based training and you're trying to establish what you're going to be training with, how do you make sure smaller companies are getting their voice heard to be part of that training?
Right. So when it comes, at least I can speak regarding the transportation, distribution, logistics. Our approach in that is to ensure that's a representation of all business sizes, small, medium, and large. And even the champions committee or the employers group that we have chairing and championing this sector partnership, you're going to see a diversity in employer size. We are still in about 1 year old. We are probably the latest sector partnership to be formed in the state of Connecticut. So we are working on identifying the collective and common challenges we have
Mohammed,
have
let me ask
identified.
you this.
Sure.
And I'm going to jump around just a little bit on us, but when one of the goals that Mark mentioned, well, one of the goals that's not there, right? They have 5 different goals, that they're talking about. What's not there is anything about increasing the participation levels for all the different RSPs throughout the state. Do you think that I guess I'll throw it out to everybody, but again, you're closest to it. Would that be something that maybe we need to ask them to consider as part of the governor's plan to, increase it, whether it's by a percentage or straight numbers? What do you think about that?
Well, if I recall, I saw the slide earlier. I think the goal is the 25% increase. Am I remembering that correctly?
So there's
Partnership?
an increase of 2,000. It says train in place 2,000 individuals through Good Jobs Challenge by the end of 27. So I believe the Good Jobs Challenge, right? That's the money that we got. Like Connecticut, I think, got the most money in the country. And that money was intended to be streamed to the different RSPs throughout the state. So there's a placement goal, right? Of how many people can we get placed through this money that's been made available. But do we need a separate goal that talks about the participation rates or levels or percentages, like getting that to a higher level?
And the reason why I like what you're saying is because if I'm trying to get a voice out for all these businesses that want to make sure we're part of the benefit of this training, they need to be part of that. And so making them aware of it, how to join into it, what does it look like, how do they get what their needs are, so that you're getting at more voices.
Yeah. I mean, the agenda for the EMA meetings that we have, there's usually a conversation around, they always applaud the new members that are there. They talk about different events that are out there that are very much geared, to networking, but also I think drawing in more businesses. Because again, when you have a lot of the smaller businesses like you, Cindy, there's huge strength in numbers. When you have hundreds of members, and you're saying, because their big thing, is the tax credit issue that I think just passed the US House. And the members are very vocal how important that would be. I think it's like I don't want to go there. I don't know much about tax, but yeah, I mean, they've been working with Joe Courtney on it, and and I know they've made some good progress. Dante, what do you think? Does that sound like a fair goal to you?
Well, I'm a little bit, the reason I joined this group is because I'm a little bit of a fish out of water when it comes to the regional sector partnerships. And that's why I chose to come into this. When they were first created, they were created without Department of Labor at the table. And that was kind of intentional, I guess. What we were told is it was because it was really not supposed to be kind of a government-led thing. It was supposed to be business-led. I've since had my business service reps that are in all of the American Job Centers participating. So I really wanted to kind of hear what you all are doing, because previously it's felt like almost a parallel system to our public workforce system. And, I really, I'm told that it's not, but I do think that more integration is possible going forward. So I guess maybe for me, a goal would be better integration of the current public workforce system with the regional sector partnerships.
That's right.
And that's because, like, at Department of Labor, we administer WIOA, we administer Wagner Pizer, we administer Jobs First Employment Services. We are the only state authorized apprenticeship agency. We're working with the State Department of Education for pre-apprentices for work-based learning programs to be pre-apprenticeships, so that kids can carry up to 2,000 hours into a registered apprenticeship or into college. So I'm not sure how to weigh in as far as the integration of what you're actually doing in sector partnerships, but I know what we have to offer as a government system that I would like to see better tied in. And that's in part why my business service reps are going to these. But thank you, Sean, for calling on me, but I was trying to just listen.
Well, I
I'm
think that's
sorry, when you're
great.
somebody I
That's
know.
great. No,
Okay.
that's excellent to expand participate. I mean, to, get that kind of partnership with the Department of Labor makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me go back, and whoever was very nice there to flash up the 1-page PowerPoint slide, that was great. Would you be
Yeah,
able to
I
do it
think
again
it-
for a second? See if it works.
Sean, we also have some raised hands ready to participate.
Yeah,
so.
that's
Okay, I'm sorry. I can't. Oh, yeah, I see at least one raised hand.
Two.
Is it me? Sorry. M Lazarus?
I think
Oh, it's more. I am. I said abbreviated, so it's Mark Lazarus. So I'm
All
sorry
right,
about
sorry
that.
about that. All right,
Um,
Mark.
I just wanted to touch on Ms. Bigelow's point. I think I'm coming from the tech sector, so like we sent a skills gaps analysis. So we've tried to find out what businesses are actually looking for, what are the gaps there and what they need to be trained. And then from there, we were able to refine a training that is really targeted to those businesses. Because then it makes it much easier. We're not just like putting out training just to put out training. There are the specific ones that are for those certain industries. So I think if there's better engagement, maybe I'm more of a tech person. If there's a giant database where everyone can pull in from big business to small business and medium-sized business, then from there send that skills gap survey. And at that point, you'll be able to get a better data point on what things that the employers want. So then when these people are actually trained, they can go get a job.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
That is what it's about, more engagement
Yeah.
and then getting that voice.
All right. So I'm not very good at seeing hands raised.
You have Stephanie.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dante.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Stephanie. I'm with the workplace. I'm the program manager for a new program called Remote Works. And I'm coming from Platform to Employment. And I think, Cindy, we worked with you through Platform.
Yes, all the time.
So,
Yep,
yeah, so we're a
we love it.
workforce development program. We just, on our behalf, we just got $1 million grant called Project Rise. So I think
Okay.
what it comes down from, this is my first time being here. And I actually came into this because I was looking for ideas myself. And what it comes down to is building these relationships with employers, finding out exactly what employers need here in Connecticut, and developing a program that tailors to that employer and getting participants through that program, getting them the skill set and having that relationship with the employer. So the employer is automatically coming to us, automatically hiring our people that are coming in. And that's where I'm finding the gap for me in the challenge. So it comes down to networking, making employers aware of our programs, how we're going to do that, how we're going to build these relationships where employers are coming to us instead of going on Indeed, instead of going on Career Builder. They're coming to us first, looking for our people, and we're giving them the talent that they need. And that's where I'm trying to figure out the gap. But I think that that's where we're falling short a lot of times with hitting our numbers, because we're not fulfilling that need and we don't know how to. And by the time that we do know how to, sometimes for some of our programs, it's a little bit too late. Our programs are running out. So we need to know how long it's going to take to get an individual up to that level that they need to be employed, making the individual excited about getting that job. So in other words, making sure that the salary is going to be what they need. Making sure that it's going to be a career for them instead of just a job, because people are looking for long-term here in Connecticut. And just working out those hiccups. And I think that once we do that, and maybe piggybacking off of what Mark said, sending out these, surveys and things like that, I think that it's all going to come down to building stronger relationships.
Okay.
And that's where I see us lacking.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that. That was very helpful.
Sure.
So spend a lot of time talking about the RSP so far. So I just want to kind of jump. There's you see on the slide deck, the work to date. So there are 4 buckets that are mentioned there. So those are what have been flagged as significant accomplishments. So Career Connect, I think that's like it was ARPA dollars. I think there was like $70 million that we got, and that's been applied to really expand, programs like the workplace models like the Eastern Connecticut Workforce Board throughout the rest of the state. We got Capital Workforce here, so there's another one. So that's one thing that's flagged. The Good Jobs Challenge, I think that was like $20 million. Again, that was federal money that was used to go towards the different RSPs. The Tech Talent Accelerator, so that was a couple $2 million from the state to help build up through our education programs, or I think it's our higher ed programs, certain high demand skill jobs like I think like cyber. I forgot what the other ones were. And then just not forgetting, Dante, we're not forgetting the registered apprenticeships and the significance that plays. I mean, you heard Mark talk about it a little bit, but is there anything else that comes to mind for the group that's not flagged? So we have these 4, but is there anything else that you can think of that you think is really an important achievement in the state on sector-based training?
Sean, I don't know if you can see hands. I hope I'm not jumping in front of everybody. I think I was next, but I'm going to say yes, but it's kind of like a half an answer to this plus more. My soapbox, which I'll try to make really short, which I have gotten on with Kelly and with Mark and with the governor himself and Garrett Moran. So bit of a disruptor, but I am begging for folks to push, market, and advertise our system as opposed to our programs. These are programs and these are fabulous, but they're time limited because they're limited funding. The system that I've been pushing is to have folks know to go to your American Job Centers, because that's where the boards and all of their individual programs come together with WIOA, JAFIS, and Wagner Pizer, which also required partners are State Department of Education's Adult Ed and Aging and Disabilities, VOC Rehab. And we as Department of Labor are currently working with Department of Housing, Department of Motor Vehicles, to come into these sites with us. So if we can get folks to come into the American Job Centers, they have access there to all of these programs. And if these don't suit them, there's access to other things that can provide free training. The other last point I'll say is that you Stephanie mentioned like Indeed. So Connecticut has CT hires, and I'm going to guess that only 50% or less people on here even know about CT hires. And that's something that I've been on my soapbox about. That is like a mini Indeed. That is Connecticut employers and Connecticut residents looking for jobs. And that's the labor exchange of the state. And it's like an automated labor exchange. We vet all those jobs, so we know they're legitimate, and we turn down job postings that don't pan out to be legitimate. And it doesn't cost employers anything. And job seekers upload their resumes and can be connected. So there's that whole kind of go to the American Job Center, you get access to these fabulous programs and more that I would love to be able to get that messaging out about.
Okay. All right. I cannot see raised hands. All I can see in front of me is the PowerPoint presentation. So I don't know. I kept trying to switch to gallery view. It's not really working for me. Let me try one more time.
I think the young lady who says disability in Connecticut is next.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is Sharon Jensen. I am the Executive Director of Disability in Connecticut. We are an organization that works with businesses and helps them in terms of hiring people with disabilities. We do not work with job candidates. We work with businesses. And Cindy Bigelow made a very good point. I have small manufacturers mostly coming to me hoping to find candidates with disabilities to work with them. And these smaller businesses and the smaller manufacturers, and we can't give them candidates, we don't have them. they don't know where to go. And there does not, in their minds, seem to be support. And what they're going through right now, and this is an issue, and I know you are with Electric Boat, Sean, so
Yep.
they're losing candidates to you guys. So for the small manufacturer, they will have them work, they'll work a couple of years for them and then move on. And then the baby boomers are retiring. So the people who did stay with them a long time are going now. And so they're having a really significant time finding finding employees. And I think the commission made a good point. We really have to get the word out about these sector partnerships and about these programs. So that these employers can access this information and can find and are not going places where, unfortunately I can't really help them, until we start finding candidates for them. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. That's why I went to, and that's why I am here. I'm talking for the small businesses that come to us. Most of our members are larger businesses, but we have small manufacturers, small distribution businesses that are coming to us, not able to find people to fill their jobs. So that's why I'm here today.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
well,
very much.
You're very welcome. I think it's wonderful we have this. I think we just have to, like the commissioner said, get the word out.
Yeah,
Sure, like American
Yeah.
Job Centers and CT hires, that's great stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
it
like,
is.
oh, what?
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. And Cindy,
I'm like writing
drinking your tea
furiously.
right now. I'm drinking your tea right now. So I'm a big
Okay.
fan of your green tea. So
all right.
That's
So,
good.
I want to spend a couple minutes, or I want to make sure, because I don't know where 25 minutes went, but we're down to 5 minutes. And I want to, that moving forward goal, I think is a very important one. And so the first one is train and place 6,000 individuals through Career Connect, by the end of 2026. Anybody have any reactions to that one way or the other? Is it too high, too low? Any thoughts?
It could be too high depending on the funding and what type of training you're trying to go for.
Yeah.
In regards like to IT, if you're gonna get the industry standard certification, some of them are $2,000, $3,000, but then sometimes you have to be a little creative, because sometimes
Yeah.
you have to go to the outside partner. So sometimes I feel like CompTIA, for example, you may want to have them as a direct partner. So then now you're cutting down the cost from being $3,000 could be about $1,000. Then you look
Yeah.
at the badges. So, for example, we have a school right now doing their A+ training, and then
Yeah.
they're going to be done in June. So these 18-year-old kids that are turning 18 will have
Yeah.
A+ certifications. And really, like to going back to one of the points, how to get them going is really that you gotta sometimes have people that are in the industry be a part of the program. So if they're manufacturing, have a manufacturing specialist. If you have in healthcare, have someone that's been in healthcare to talk about those salaries. Like for myself,
Yeah.
I've been in IT for over 20 years. So it's been between government and academia. So I'm able to speak to them and say, okay, if you get this job, you're gonna make 60,000, 70,000. If you talk to young, old, and I have talked to people from all walks of life, you tell them the salary, a lot of times that grabs them to it. So if I tell them they're gonna get
Yeah.
their AWS cloud certificate, they're gonna make around almost 180,000. They're doing cartwheels trying to do the job. So
Yeah.
it's
The,
just
the here's why I want to push back with you just a bit. Just my employer alone, I think in the next 3 years, we'll probably bring 2,000 people through that Career Connect system. So, I don't know where we are in relation to the whole state. But if we have a third of it just ourselves, I just can't put it in proportion, and that may be how I just say it back to Mark and Kelly, is I can say what EB's thinking over the next 3 years, and maybe that can put it in perspective for them a bit, you know.
Sean,
Anybody else on this goal?
Sean, I'm jumping in. I'm not putting my hands up just in case you can't see hands, so I'm just jumping.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah, no, I can't see them, so
Okay.
thank you.
That's fine. So I just want to we were yesterday at a business roundtable with CT States. So back to Commissioner Dante's point, this could be achieved in the rest of the states if the right vehicles are used. And I feel like they're underused right now. They're not utilized to their full potential. And that would be the American Job Center, not to repeat everything that the commissioner said, but also CT State, where we noticed the conversation yesterday about customizing the training to the business. But I was basically saying, why don't you attend the sector partnership table and customize the training based on the common challenges that all the businesses are saying at these meetings, instead of going through a lot of energy creating a specific program per business, but sitting at these tables and utilizing the RSPs as a vehicle along with the American Job Center as gateways. So maybe more marketing of these two important systems in the states. It's truly not a compliment to hear that it's the best kept secrets in Connecticut anymore, because we are getting into the critical stage to train a lot of people. We can only do it through those two channels, I believe.
So here's what I'm thinking. There's a lot of conversation with this group over the last 30 minutes about RSPs. I think there's a lot of things that are unknown. And so I think having some sort of communication strategy is key, not just with the RSPs, Dante, but also, like you said, there seems to be a heavy focus on the 4 programs that are there, but there's already stuff within the system, just using American Job Centers and CT hires as an example. Like, are we focused on everything that's out there? So I was going to talk to them about that. And any last thoughts? I guess we have two minutes left.
Hi,
Carlo is muted up.
it's Carlo Leone from
Carlo?
Department of Transportation. How are you?
Good, Carlo.
I'll make it brief, and it sort of encapsulates what everyone said. I think it's the alignment of the jobs with the alignment of the training that's possible. And to get the smaller businesses involved, they need to attend so that they can share what they're looking for, and then you cater the training to what they need. So I think you first need the employer buy-in, and then second, you need the applicant buy-in. And applicants don't always know how to maneuver through the system to get what training and what's out there. So it's really this alignment of the two ends of the spectrum that right now is a little bit of a disconnect. And the RSPs has been working to mend that. And for example, as part of Department of Transportation, we have a lot of job openings, but the training that people are taking don't always line up with what we need. So that's what we're trying to mitigate. So I think alignment is key.
Carlo, can I highlight quickly that you and I are working on a registered apprenticeship program for CDL drivers for Department of Transportation. So that's something, it starts with the employer, but we can do registered apprenticeships for most industries.
Yeah, I didn't think I could get it in there. You beat me to it. So thank you, Commissioner.
Okay.
But it's that kind of partnership and that kind of alignment that has to happen on the front end so that we can have the applicants that are ready to apply and then succeed by, actually knowing how to apply for the position.
Okay. All right. Well, I say that's it, since we have about 15 seconds. So appreciate all the participation. I really do apologize if I missed some of the raised hands. I'm just not seeing them with my iPad that I have here. So
Did a great
thank you,
job,
everyone.
Sean.
All right.
Thanks for moderating
I'm
us.
so glad I joined.
Laura, is everybody back out?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So we have time for, I would say, kind of 3 to 4 minute kind of report outs from each of the 5 committees. So I'm just going to call on them. First call